Tell me about Jeremy Johnson, what you saw from him, and what earned you that trust in him in the start?
Well, of course, I started recruiting Jeremy. I think he was either in 8th or 9th grade, and I know a lot about him. He ran a similar offense that we do in high school. He sat behind Nick Marshall, really handled that whole situation very well. Could have started for a lot of teams in our league, and this spring he just raised his level, not only on the field, off the field, really established himself as really our team leader. And so we got a lot of information. He's been in our offense. This will be the 3rd year, so he's set up in a very good spot.
He said on the SEC Network he wants to pass for 3,000, run for 1,000. I think everyone probably expects 3,000 yards passing. It's pretty realistic, but I haven't really seen him run that much.
Yeah.
From your perspective, what does he have to work on to actually do that on the ground?
Yeah, well, he's a very good runner in his own right. He's about 240 pounds, 6'6", 240. He runs a high 4.5. So he can run it very well if he has to. Throws extremely well. He's got a very strong arm. And the best thing is, even though he's not been a starter, he's got a lot of experience and a lot of game experience too. And in practice time, he got a lot of work the last 2 years with the ones, which very few backups got as much as him. So he's in a good spot.
I covered Jeremy in high school. I covered recruiting, and so I know that even when he was at Carver, people were kind of comparing him to Cam Newton.
Yeah.
I mean, having coached both guys, do you see any kind of comparison?
Yeah, there's some similarities. They're both great leaders. They lead by example with their work ethic. They're both extremely coachable. They allow you to coach them hard. He's spent time with Cam, this spring when Cam was around, and I know they talked numerous times.
Have you had that conversation with him, about being compared to Cam, and how do you feel? Do you think that's fair to him to be sort of compared to a legend after only starting 2 years?
Well, he's his own person, and he knows that. He's just trying to take as much wisdom from Cam as he can have. And, of course, when we were recruiting him, Cam Newton was the quarterback. And so he knows that you can have great success in our offense. Cam won the Heisman, won a national championship, and was the #1 overall pick in the draft. And so I know that really attracted Jeremy even more, to our offense.
What are some of the goals that Jeremy has just that he's set for himself? Or that
the #1 thing is to help us win a championship. He's a team guy. Every player's got their individual goals and all that, but he'll do whatever he has to do to help us win, and I know he's really committed to that.
With Will and what you saw from 15 practices from your defense, what goals did you set forth for the spring? Did you accomplish them, and what sort of outstanding questions?
Yeah, I think we did. I think the big thing from Will's standpoint was trust. Develop trust with his players, trust with the players and the coaches, and trust with the players, with the guy beside him. And he was extremely challenging to them. Their intensity was very high, and his expectations were very high.
What about with the defensive line, with Carl sort of in and out, doing some things? Anybody step up that impressed you, or anybody that needs to do it?
Yeah, Dontavius Russell up front really had a very good spring. A guy that we redshirted last year that could have played, but we had so many senior defensive linemen. Montravius Adams is a guy that he's really starting to show great leadership, and of course Carl. He did everything but the actual live tackling, which was a lot of spring, and I really believe he's back to 100%.
What about Byron Cowart coming in? That's obviously your gem in this recruiting class on the defensive side. How much of an impact do you see him making?
Yeah, I think he could have a big impact. It's all going to be up to him. He's going to have an opportunity. Carl Lawson made a big impact as a true freshman. I see a lot of similarities, not only ability-wise, but even just mindset-wise.
Have you had to, with Carl, not going through tackling drills, have you sort of had to temper his enthusiasm to say, all right, you're back, but let's calm down a little bit?
Yeah, he did all the thud tempo, which, that's everything but actually take the guy down to the ground. So, you've always got to say whoa to Carl anyway. That's a good thing. That's what really makes him special.
How eager is he just to get back out there?
Yeah, he's very eager, and he's like a breath of fresh air. It was extremely challenging to play without him last year. He's an impact player, one of the better, defensive players in the entire country. And when you don't have him, it's tough. But now that we got him back, it's a good thing, and he's a leader too.
What about just transitioning between coaches for him? What have you seen with him under Musgrave?
He's really responded well. He's bought into what we're doing on the defensive side, and he's a team guy. He just does whatever his coach asks. He always has a great attitude. you know, his teammates on both sides of the football have unbelievable respect for him.
Last year, you guys struggled getting after the quarterback. That was one of the biggest issues. What differences are there from this year to last, and specifically, you know, with Will Muschamp and how you're going to get him the quarterback?
Yeah, I think that was just like you said. That was really our Achilles heel in defense. When you can't put pressure on a quarterback, it makes it tough on everybody. And you know, so Will's worked extremely hard. First of all, you know, he had to evaluate our guys. But you know, the second part of spring, they really started, you know, putting their packages in and putting guys in different situations to, you know, see who could put some pressure on a quarterback.